Okay, today is the 22nd of April. This is the third episode of Season 3 coming out basically today. I'll be shooting it today, hopefully also editing it and getting it done so that it can be released today. At the moment, it seems like we're posting an episode and a half per week. Every week and a half episode. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, things have been busy and I've been preoccupied, I guess. But some things do take priority. But enough of the excuses. Welcome to episode 3 of season 3. Not the third time I'm seeing you, it's the second time on the podcast. But sometimes we don't be third time lucky. Yes. But we have Willis back again, familiar face. Yep. Last time we also chatted about Porsches and a lot about Porsches and bikes and buckies. Yeah. And I remember the Fortuner. Yes. You guys said, the Fortuner. Yeah, you have a very nice bike. But weren't you going to sell your... No, you weren't going to sell your bike. No, that was someone else. We chatted about camping and towing. And bad fuel consumption, and we chatted about
the 1 million rand car, I think.
The 1 million rand car, the RS6 or those kind of cars. Yep. We also chatted about the land delay, the G land delay you saw from race 1.
Yes.
And then that
was basically it.
It was basically a lot of Porsche, I think. Didn't we chat about the GT3 being released?
I think we just...
Or was it the GT4 RS?
No, GT3. I think when it was still like undercovers, you know? It was officially released. It was a little bit of a teaser, I guess.
But it was either the GT3 or the 4 RS.
I think it was the GT3.
There was also a car didn't we roast the Duke? Yes. We roasted the Duke.
We did.
I remember now. And then it was... Okay. Just to get an idea. But anyway, he's been on the podcast in season 2. Very like a guy, Chatu, good friend of mine. So I like to sometimes just bring people on similar sort of level and similar sort of love for cars that I have. I can't always chat to the big boys in the game. And I think it's quite cool having a conversation with someone like-minded, but also in the same sort of situation. Because you sort of... It's like two friends having conversation. That's always good to listen to. Like it's much more comfortable for me and like for the listeners to listen to something like this rather than me being stressful in front of like a big guest or something. Yep. But how have you been? What are you doing at the moment? Maybe tell the people what you're busy with.
No, thanks for having me again. It's really a pleasure. So studying. I think same as Martin in Stellenbosch. I'm currently busy with my honors degree, so. Yeah, quite busy and doing like a small thesis this year as well. So it's been busy, but otherwise, doing well and always on YouTube. Trying to see what's being released.
No, getting
excited.
I just told
GT3.
him actually, I haven't been watching car videos in quite a while. Actually, I think I've just been busy, but also. Your passion sort of dips and drops and goes, and I wouldn't say my passion dropped. I was just like, you go through a phase of every single YouTube video that comes out that you watch, and then it's like podcast. And at the moment, I've just been reading actually. I've been enjoying reading articles because sometimes it's also a bit more thorough.
That is true.
And they won't take your more simple, your everyday cars like your Nissan Micra, the Yaris, the Suzuki Baleno or whatever, just your everyday cars, the new cars coming out there, the Urban Cruiser or Suzuki Brezza or whatever. I've been sort of enjoying reading about the more simpler cars, not just because it's attainable. I think it's just everyday, like it's the everyday kind of...
It's usable, it's what everyone's probably going to buy.
It's the realistic car.
Exactly.
Like, you're not always going to be faced with a GT3 versus, some kind of Huracan or whatever. Sometimes you make the choices between the more simpler cars. And even going into age where... sometime soon in the next 5 years, I will get my first car.
Yeah, exactly.
That also becomes something to think about. So I've been enjoying reading road tests, like 6 month year ownership articles and stuff. And that's been quite interesting. That is been quite satisfying, to be honest. So just taking a break from let's just call it unrealistic sort of car world for now.
Yes.
So back into the YouTube game, watched a lot of videos of the GT3. In this episode, we'll be touching on the GP3. Yes, the Grand Prix. No, we won't be touching F1. The GT3 press drives actually got released. It is probably going to be what you think it is. And then maybe chat about our favorite GT3s over the years. The death of the Lotus Elise, the little very nippy sports car from the UK, which is, I think, a bit forgotten, but actually much more special than you think.
Yes.
And it'll probably gain some fame for that now. And then also the Polestar, Volvo Polestar, which is a sort of offspring brand from Volvo. And what it is, the cars they have, why they do what they do. But let's start with the GT3. You watched the videos, you read the comments. What are your thoughts? What's the gist of what people are saying?
It's like I told Martin before we start, I watched Matt Farrow's review last night, and I really like his take on cars, and he drives it in the canyons, always on the same road. So I think that gives you quite of a good base to kind of see the differences between the previous generation, because you drove the car at the same conditions, the same area, the same road. But it's a GT3. It can't be bad. And it's not bad. It's really good.
Yeah.
His only real concern was the new suspension, the front double wishbone suspension. So it is a different setup. And he said it was a little bit hard for him personally to daily. But then again, it's a GT3. It's, if you want to really daily buy Carrera, that's what it's made for.
Yeah.
It's the perfect, dad car, I would call it.
High spec, go GTX.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a GTS in time of day. But in any case, but then again, it's double wishbone. It's really good. It does the job, and specifically lateral movement in the corners.
Also new tires, Pilot Sport Cup 2 Rs, if you'd like to have the Rs, but
yes. I think they specifically use that in Nürburgring
for the 659.
Exactly. So it is good. It does the job exceptionally well. And like you also said, something that they changed in the interior is the gear shifter or the gear selector, I guess.
Yes.
As it is automatic.
Not the shaving.
Not the shaver.
Yeah.
So that looks good. I think it fits it well. It also gives it, I wouldn't say a bit of like a retro, but it's just more basic and simple, and it does the job. And it looks nice.
Back to previous 911s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then obviously the spoiler is also a bit of a talking.
It's mad.
I love it.
I
think a lot of people are like, oh, it looks funny because it's, mounted
what
from
they
the
call
top.
it, hanging from the swan neck. Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I think it looks amazing.
No, it's so good.
And it fits the whole car. I mean, it is a GT car. It's not, a Carrera or anything. So it fits the wide track and the stance of the car. But I think I mean, I can't say anything bad. I really like the look of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, at the beginning I was like, the cutouts on the front maybe looks a bit funny.
Like the nostrils.
The nostrils, yeah. But then again, I was like, basically for like a day or two, it's like maybe not, and now like, oh, I love it. I mean, the car just looks great.
The rear end is by far
the best,
the most favorite. Like, just the light going like one singular line just going around, massive wing, big diffuser. But I also, like, behind the camera, I spoke to you about the current GT3 and like being the dailyable supercar. A lot of like especially the 991.2 and the normal 991. It actually portrays it so well, like what the GT3 represents. Like, it's the car you drive to the track, go around the track, drive home from the track, do your shopping, go home. Like, it's your dailyable supercar. The GT3 RS is hardcore track focused. Leave it on the track, okay? But now the GT3, the engine is being manufactured on the same line as the competition or the cup cars. The suspension up front is much more race focused, as you said. Very, very sticky tires. You won't be driving Cup 2Rs on the road. Like, I think you'll just burn through those tires. Like, it's not what you actually should be using it for. The nostrils, the wing, the diffuser, the car looks insane. And the color, also the release color, just goes to show sort of what Porsche is trying to... They are trying to push it a bit more towards track racing, which is awesome. And it's great. But I mean, if you want a daily GT3, you are awesome, and probably
hats off to you.
Hats off to you. But maybe Porsche is like hey, we make the rest of the Carrera line. We make the GTS.
Yes.
They're bringing out the aero kit. Have you seen the aero kit that
Not
you actually...
yet, actually.
Okay, so it's not yet released,
Yeah.
but it's like basically a mini GT3 kit, body kit. You
for
just
the
add
Carrera.
on. Yeah, so
Nice.
front bumper,
Yes.
rear splitter, spoiler.
Yeah.
So it's basically a mini GT3 kit you add on. And your Carrera is, any Carrera is more than competent.
enough,
Like
definitely.
really. If you want to go track driving now and then, be honest with yourself. Like if you have a GT3, are you going to
Definitely.
use it what it should be used for? Because if not, just take the GTS.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even a Carrera.
I mean, my thing is always, there may be a lot of, usually if you look at the reviews and stuff, it's usually European based or American based. And
Fair.
they have the places, they have the tracks.
Especially
and
UK.
We don't though.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like we have 2 tracks that's basically, and the one is in Cape Town, one is in Joburg.
And then we have private tracks,
And
which
then,
is
yeah,
very, like
you're
you
not
have
gonna-
to be
yeah.
part of something.
Like you have to be a big shot to get in there, or you have to know people, the right people.
Yeah.
And it's basically, it's not going to happen. If you're just an everyday guy that has a few, I guess you're not everyday if you have a few more to spend on a GT3, but in any case.
But I mean, it's not like you're buying your own track because you have a GT3.
Exactly. So I guess in our country, it wouldn't really make sense to buy it for a track because you're never going to take it to a track because it's just
Yeah,
difficult.
unless like
Yeah.
that's you sort of have the access.
Access
or,
to it, yeah, like every weekend or whatever. But
Yeah.
in like even Killarney, they're not open for the public that often. It's like maybe once a month or once in 2 months
Yeah.
that you can actually go there with your car and just go have fun. But then again, we have passes and we have some nice roads. We have
Yes,
some nice,
very.
like, especially like in the Western Cape,
Very.
driving next to the coast and stuff. I guess you can still use it and it can still be, your weekend car.
Definitely.
And you don't have to daily it. But then again, taking it out every second day to work, why not? It will still
Yeah.
do the job, but it's not going to be the most comfortable thing.
I don't think I will.
I don't
like,
think I would either. But then again, if I have the money, like, yes.
It,
wouldn't I
yeah,
want a
it is.
GT3?
Hey, we're making this like we're saying this out of the wisdom that we have as like 20 and 21-year-olds.
Exactly.
But I think for me, a
Realistically.
daily car isn't something.
No.
Or okay, it's not a daily car. It's a car you can daily.
Yes.
But I won't drive the GT3 around in town because, like in South Africa, you have theft, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks crazy and it looks mad and. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on your personality. Do you really want to draw attention?
That is true.
Um,
I wouldn't.
But yeah, I mean,
I'll buy a Carrera easily.
your Carrera is
It
more
does
than
the
enough.
job.
But then we continually forget about one key factor, and that's the sound.
Yeah.
Like
That is true.
even if you have a GT3
Yeah.
and you go mountain pass driving every single weekend, and you are not going to exert the full everything out of that car. You just aren't
No.
because
It's
you're
too
not good
much.
enough. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's probably the case of majority of
Yeah.
sport cars. Even track cars, like normal people just don't have the expertise.
Expertise,
And
yeah,
that's all right.
that's
Like that's fine. But the sound is one major factor. And
I
that's
agree 100%.
but I mean, then you also ask the question, GTS 4-liter Cayman or like GT4 Cayman.
Exactly.
But I mean, different animals. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
should
yeah.
really be comparing.
No.
But still very cool. I mean, I told you earlier, Top Gear, they basically only had one bad thing to say, and that's like the interior is not as sturdy.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like that's
really.
nitpicking. But even if it, like, fine, like it's alright.
It's
Like,
alright,
don't worry
yeah.
about it.
I mean, nothing is perfect. And
Yeah.
I had to get something,
Yeah.
But it's a good car.
But
it ticks
Porsche
the
just
boxes.
continually, incrementally,
Yes.
piece by piece, like it's more than the sum of its parts,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, dream car for anyone. You're not going to go wrong buying one,
No.
even if. Yeah, I think Porsches are one of the cars. Okay, it's not like you test drive a Aventador before you buy it,
Yeah.
but Porsche is one of the brands where you buy the car with the assurance that it's going to be good any model,
Yeah.
like any model.
Yeah, that is true, actually.
And even if it's not as good as you thought, it's still better than, the rest. And
Yeah.
so I'm just super pro this car. Really love it.
100%.
But then the question always comes back. Let's say you have the money to buy the new GT3. But then you also have a row of all the other GT3s in line. Basically, you can decide which one is your pick, your favorite pick of the bunch. What is your favorite pick of the bunch?
So when we talked about this earlier, I was like, thinking, like going back again to, Wikipedia, checking all the models and stuff. I'm like, yes, this is difficult. And for some reason, I saw this Miami Blue, basically what Mr. JWW had. Miami Blue 991.2.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's just the look of it. It's obviously previous gen, but that was kind of my like perfect Porsche.
Yeah.
Like the new one is nice. It's really, really good. But there's something about just the 991 or 991.2 that just, it really, really, like if I think about Porsche when I was younger, that's what I would look like, like more your typical Porsche look, I guess. But once again, I think it's more drivable than the 992, like they said. And I think that's why I would actually consider it, even if it's not your best daily, but it is more dailyable, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's the 4 liter.
Yeah.
So, because it's the 992. Before that, it was 3.6, I think.
Yeah, the Mezga engines.
Exactly. So, it's like, it's a 4 liter. And then on the other hand, maybe, I think talking about 4 liters, like the 997, but that was the RS, right?
So, you had the GT3 RS was a 3.8, and then you also got the 4 liter, which is like...
Yeah, the 4 liter.
There's only, I think, 600 made.
Yes,
so
exactly.
that was like the, goodbye to the Mezga engines.
Yes, exactly. Which is an RS, so that's not really the question. But, I would say the 991. And you?
I think when it comes to GT3, I like the fact that it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So, yes, 991.2 almost definitely, but then the question is, okay, do you go track focused like bucket seats, cage and PDK, or do you go manual, like maybe normal sport seats, not any cage or anything, but more space at the back? And I think I'll, like Mr. JWW basically had the two opposites, and I think I go the manual one, but then I was also like, maybe to get the full enjoyment out of that car, you probably need a PDK. But then I also thought of the 997 actually, which is it's a very simple looking car actually, like with a wing, you know. Yeah. And then I definitely go manual, go like a road spec, Yeah. And then I was reminded once again of the GT3 Touring. Yes. I was like, oh yes, by far and away, that's my favorite. Okay. I like the road, the road aspect. Yeah. Yes, you can go tracking. Yes. But I think it'll be very fun with a manual going tracking. But yeah, I think
Didn't they make the R as well?
So the 911R was the 991.1 generation. But it was like track focus. GT3 RS. Engine and base. Okay. And then it was road focused. So that car was basically, when it comes to Porsche 911 pure driving pleasure, like stripped away weight, manual, everything was just, as analog as a modern day car could be. Yep. But then with GT3 RS underpinnings, which is amazing, No,
definitely.
And then GT3 Touring came out, and there was like a bit of collision. Yeah. But it is like it is different cars.
But the Touring is good. I think it's kind of like, I wouldn't say forgotten, but it's not really talked about that much. And it's sort of
but that's sort of how it's intended, I feel.
That is
like,
true, I guess.
GT3 will always be a thing, but the Touring is like, what the Touring is when it drives past you, if you know what the Touring is. Yeah, exactly. I saw one in Stellenbosch. I can't remember which color it was. I think it was maybe a yellow one, which is, it's quite wild. Yeah. But like, I think it drove past and I saw it and I was like, that's not a normal 911 because it had the GT grille with that like big gaping openings at the front. And when you look at the back, there's not much difference between that and a Carrera. Yes. It has this like small sort of ducktail spoiler thingy. But you can, of course, twin pipes in the middle. That's like the distinguishing difference. Yes. So, the distinguishing factor. And that's the thing for me. Like, you drive a Porsche, Yeah. But no, actually, it's more.
No, I agree. Like I said, the 997, the other thing is the 997 was my like poster car when I was a kid. Like, that's when the 997 dropped. That like, I think it was the RS, you know, that like, I think it was like black with the red or like
And the white wheels, that's the 4 liter, yeah.
Yes, but that was obviously the RS, but still like that era of, you know, 997. I was like,
yes.
If I grow up, I want to buy this, you know.
Before that one, the previous GT3 RS, the 996.2,
yes.
that was the, almost said Top Gear, the Fast and Furious one.
Yep.
I don't think it was like Tokyo Drift, maybe something, maybe a bit later.
Either, but,
white, yes. GT3 RS, like the side, and then the blue wheels.
Yes.
That was crazy. But like that's 3RS.
Yep.
Yeah, GT3 is a bit more subdued.
Yep, exactly.
So,
but even the 996, like,
it
still has a place. Like, I think it's like any Porsche fan. Like, you kind of like all of them play a role and, you know, mean something in the line, sort of.
I spoke to a guy once who, you know, he now drives to California. When I say now, I mean like in 2019.
Yes.
He drove to California, and before that he had the 996.1 generation GT3. And he said that car was absolutely crazy. I mean, it didn't have the world of power, but of course it wasn't as refined. It was like just this raw racing car.
And no like ESC and all these.
That was the first GT car.
Yeah.
Like there was no GT car before that, so that was the first one. So no ESC, no driving aids. Of course, steering is
a lot more direct,
analog. Yeah. So
it's not like all the new electronic steering and stuff.
Yeah, and he said it was just a bit too much for him to handle, I can understand.
I mean,
as you spoke, like your normal guy just doesn't have the skill. That's why cars are made softer and easier to handle,
and all electronics.
That's why M3 can swap between like, you know, 7 Series type of comfortability, and then suddenly M3 full attack mode.
Yeah,
you know, that's why cars can do that. That's why they have the split personality.
Yeah.
Because people just don't have the experience.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, good chat. That was about 20 solid minutes of GT3 and Porsche.
I knew it would be long.
As intended, intended. Okay, but let's chat about continuation of sports cars and a bit smaller sport cars is the Lotus Elise. So now, of course, Lotus decided to kill off this current body shape of Elise. You know, will they go EV with it? Will they change it into something else? We don't know. Anyway, the Elise, if you don't know, started out in 1995, 6 something. But it's like the small, you know, sports car. Like it's very small, very nippy. I wouldn't say track bias. It's like fun biased. It's like twisty road biased. You know, corners biased. Started off as which it probably still is today. 4-cylinder, smaller than 2 liter displacement. Not a lot of power. Like sub 300 horsepower.
But light.
Very light. The first Elise, which is like they call it the Elise S1. I think it had a Rover engine, which was like 1.8 liter 4-cylinder. Not a lot of power. I think yes, like 88 kilowatt, which is not a lot. But it weighed 735 kilograms.
That's nothing. That's nothing.
You don't get cars that weigh these, like
not at all.
The Mini. I think the Mini is like the only car maybe that weighed less. It's crazy. No, it's so light. It's so nippy. Manual gearbox is so engaging. So into steering. It's a very small car. Often your bigger guys do struggle to get in. But it was all about just having fun as a sports car. Like it's a sports car almost as intended.
It's like a go-kart effect, like they would say.
Very much. So it started off there. Bit of an interesting concept. Looked very ugly. I hated the look of the first one.
The later generations were nice.
The later generations, especially the last one, the newest Elise.
Yes.
Oh my word! It actually looks so good. So it still has I think it has a Toyota engine now. Also inline 4 supercharged engine. The final edition has like 240 horsepower, which is like 170 kilowatt or something. I think there maybe is like a Elise Cup or something, or just Elise Sport, like a 300 horsepower version or something. But it's still a very small, very lightweight sports car. And that got us thinking. But before that got us thinking, what's your thoughts on the Elise? What did you think of the Elise before you even start reading about it? Like before this? Did you even think of it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Lotus was always like, oh yeah, you know, I know they're there, like they're doing their thing. I think maybe the Elise it didn't really hit home for me at the beginning, or when I saw it sort of like when it got a bit of a name, I was like, you know, it looks it looks okay. It's not the best looking car in the world, whatever. It's small. It's like you said, it's a bit. I wouldn't say underpowered because the power to weight ratio, it's there. But I think the other cars that they did, like the Exige,
yeah.
and the Evora.
That's the more like GT.
Yeah, I like that. The Evora I did like, but it's I think for what it stood for, it really, it hit home because like you said, it fits the purpose of I want something fun to drive on a weekend or something to play with. It's like basically like I said, like a go-kart for adults sort of.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the I wouldn't say the name, but like I said, what it stands for. I like that, and it fits a purpose definitely, especially now that there isn't really small sports cars anymore. Like your Z3s and stuff like that. It doesn't. It's not really. Everything's getting big. Like even the Porsche, like a Porsche was small. A Porsche was like technically in this class right at the beginning, like a normal Carrera. Now it's like track getting wider and bigger, more stability, whatever. But
in 911 20 years ago,
it was like
such a small car.
It was really, really not big. I mean, it was basically a Beetle if you think about it. So in any case, Lotus. I think I like Lotus as a company, but not the Elise that much, But like you said, for what it stands for, it fits a purpose.
That got us thinking, like, what sports cars, what small, lightweight...
alternatives.
What alternatives are there really? Because the Elise wasn't expensive.
No.
The newest, most expensive Elises is probably still sub $1 million.
Yeah.
Maybe just a bit over. If you spec it and everything. But there's not a lot of choice and like movement room with spec also. It's not about that, it's very simple sports car, and that's it's a driver's car. Definitely. You're not gonna have the best interior, you're not gonna have the smoothest ride, it's not gonna be a Bentley, but it's gonna be fun to drive. I think anyone, it doesn't matter who you are, if they maybe be like, oh, I don't like this look of this car, like, oh, it doesn't look that great, but then once you get in it and you drive it, you're like, wow, this is actually fun. Like, this is what driving is. It's like more back to the basics type of thing. Doesn't have awful lots like of power, driver aids also,
or driver aids, so it won't kill you instantly. Like if you just put your foot down the first, like out of the first corner, like maybe a overcon or something. So yeah, I think it really is nice. But like you said, what other cars are there? And I was thinking like the Audi TT. But then again, like that's basically it. Like what?
Audi TT, really? But that's not as
it's not
lightweight, sort of. Yeah, it's a bit more luxury and comfort. Also, you get the GT86, which now is the 86, the GR86.
Yes.
Which is probably something that also would compete against price wise. Probably
much.
Similar.
Probably similar.
I think the Elise is more of an experience though.
Definitely.
You get the MX-5. Which is probably also quite a similar competitor.
It's
roof can also go down.
I think also
under. The MX-5 is underpowered. You're right. That has a 2-liter 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated. So not a lot of alternatives. No. But to be honest, it doesn't seem like people are
really
like rushing towards. That's like where the gold rush is.
Yeah, exactly. But I was also thinking. Then I'm thinking of what people are building out there. Then I'm thinking obviously it's not a new car, but S2000s, and then the Miatas, because Miata's kind of like the same thing. It's very small, very nimble, but obviously they don't make them anymore. So I think maybe for the tuner kind of culture or the car building culture, it's still real. Like trying to find a small, nimble car, and trying to obviously they just change it, buy it second hand, do your own thing with it. But in that sort of class, there's still a little bit of choice, which I think is cool because I like the S2000. I think it looks good. And I mean, Miata, maybe not the best, but it's pretty cool, for what it is and what people are doing with it, I guess. But it's not a new car, so I guess you can't really compare it. But
okay. So Polestar, Volvo, okay. For some reason, Volvo has gained a lot of traction the past couple of years. I think since, cars like the S90, the XC60, 40,
all of them,
all of the 90s, all of these cars sort of, started showing their faces, especially the newer ones. Volvo suddenly is very attractive. The cars are very attractive.
Like
Volvo has always been, the benchmark of safety in cars. So, for the intelligent, the professional, the safety conscious guy who just wants a good solid car with a bit of luxury and comfort, knowing that whoever drives in it will be safe. It's just all around a very good solid car.
It is a good family car. Like a lot of people I know.
It's not really on the level of family car that a Toyota and Volkswagen is. Like, it's a bit more luxurious and expensive. It sort of competes against Mercedes and Audi and BMW, which is concerning for them.
Yeah.
Because, those are established brands. Yes. But, Volvo, for some, they've gained a lot of traction.
Step in the right direction, especially with the designs. I must say, I never really looked at Volvo until they did the whole facelift thing, like you said, with the XC90s, all of them. The new type of shape and look. It's actually really nice. I would kind of consider this. If I'm looking at that type of SUV range or whatever. It is something to look at. Maybe not your first choice, but it definitely, you know about it.
Yes. So, and then Polestar was always like the AMG RS variant of Volvo. So it was always like the V50 powered by, or by Polestar. And that was like the, racier, sportier versions of those cars, which was cool. But now Polestar has sort of distanced himself from Volvo, still owned by Volvo, partly owned by Volvo and Geely. Yes. From China.
Yes.
But now they are actually sort of the Volvo offspring going into electric. So initially I thought it was so they're becoming like a Cupra to Seat, or Alpine to Renault. But actually it's a bit different. Like the whole brand image and what they're trying to achieve now changes.
Yes.
So Polestar, as I said, is trying to be like the electric offspring almost. So they started off with the Polestar 1, which is not all electric, quite an expensive GT car.
It's a hybrid,
It's a hybrid. So 2 liter supercharged and twin charged. So supercharged and turbocharged. Yes. Same as any other Volvo actually. Like the XC90, XC60, I think.
Is it also actually?
So not all. So some are just. Some are
probably just
turbocharged. But then your sportier models, like your T6s, T8s, that's like twin charged, supercharged and turbocharged, with like a mild hybrid assistance.
Yes.
Very efficient engines. Of course, it's not an AMG engine. No. It's not a raucous V8. It's not something that makes crazy sound. It's very subdued. But has enough grunt, has enough power. Volvo hasn't been doing hasn't been making this engine for track records. It's been making this engine just for comfortable
GT
good touring road driving. That's good point actually. So that 2 liter engine, and now with a hybrid system also. It's a plug-in hybrid.
And it's doing, I think, just under 600 horsepower, which is quite a lot for the whole
optimal
system. Like sport, full, everything is engaged, which is a lot if you think about it, which is not bad for 2 liter and obviously the electric with it. But seeing the reviews, yes, the price, what you're paying for what you get, it is expensive, and it is. The thing is, I think it's also why the price may be hiked up a bit. It is limited, I think, to 1,500 units, which isn't a lot at all for a new car. But I think they were maybe a bit scared, as it's Polestar's first,
They've been in the business for about 2 years. So really not long.
You don't really know. I guess they know what they're doing, but it's a difficult. And the GT class in itself is very competitive. There's a lot of good choices. Continental immediately. I was like,
8 Series. Ace Coupe.
Yes, the Mercs,
what does Audi have in that? A7 is
it's not really.
Also not A6. I don't think Audi has something that competes. They have a 5 Series coupe. But of course that's a bit out of class.
And then the Rolls Royces.
Rolls Royces maybe a bit too much.
But they have the 2-door.
So there is definitely good
I mean, the Bentley is
competition.
a good,
Yeah, well, Continental GT
like,
basically covers all the
interior, like,
bases.
it really does.
Sporting, interior,
Everything.
comfort, luxury,
Yeah.
touring, everything.
Everything.
So now, the Polestar 1 comes in at quite a hefty price. I think it's like something like £140,000.
Yeah, it's £149,000.
149. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very expensive. You know, good power. Still weighs like 2.3 tons,
Yeah,
which
it's
is,
heavy.
you know, probably common for GTs.
Yeah.
Aston Martin,
Yes.
another GT.
Yes.
Jag with the, oh, you can't really say
So-
F-type as
Nah,
much.
it's not
Yeah.
really a Tourer. But anyways,
Yes, but anyway, so
it's your sport for choice.
you are spoiled for choice. And even though, you know, only the big brands stick out their toes, like, it's still good enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so they come in at quite good power, quite a high weight. It looks very cool for me.
Yeah.
It looks very bulky, but still professional.
The back is not.
Yeah, it's
It
not,
look- it
it's not
kinda
the
looks
most
funny.
attractive thing.
It's
It's
not
like the S90.
Yeah,
It
but
is
then
based on the
again, like from
S90,
the
yeah.
side, from the front, or like it looks good. It's not an ugly car.
Yeah, no.
And I think it definitely like it hit the market right or with the right design. So like people would buy it. People.
It's all about simplicity and flow.
Exactly.
Like the brand design, that's interiors,
Yeah, it's very
central
simple.
console, you know, wood, leather. It's all just very subtle
Subtle.
and sound.
Yeah.
Easy to look at, like soft on the eye.
Yep. Yep.
So, been looking at some driving reviews, and people quite like how it drives. You know, it's not a very nimble car as such. You know, for what
Exactly.
it's trying to be, which is
Yeah.
a GT.
Yes,
it,
exactly.
It sort of does it well.
Yeah.
Comes in at an interesting price bracket. Also, just 1,005 made, which isn't a lot. You know, I actually don't know if it's sold out. If
I
the
don't know
1,005
either.
is sold out.
Maybe not.
But yeah, I think it's their entry into the market.
Oh.
So for them, it's like, okay, we're going full EV. We know this, but let's just like kick off somewhere. You know,
yeah.
let's just do something. So the Polestar 1 came out anyway. I think it achieved some sort of success. I'm not really sure.
I guess we will see in a year or two, maybe.
I'd still take the Continental.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's a bit more expensive though. I think the GT is at least £200,000
Yeah, probably. But I mean, if you
or 180-ish.
yeah, around there.
So
Yeah,
the
maybe
Polestar
if
is
you
still
do
expensive, but
Yeah,
I think the the Continental is a bit more expensive. S Coupe is definitely more expensive. 8 Series is
probably around there. Maybe
probably
even
around
cheaper.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, you won't really see one here in South Africa, I think.
No.
Anyway, then the Polestar 2 came out. So maybe tell us a bit about the Polestar 2.
Yeah, I think that Polestar 2 did like sort of hit it right on the head, especially with the interior and the new infotainment system. I don't know if you saw that, but
Oh yeah,
the
looks so cool.
It looks good, and it's an Android system, and like one of the reviews also saw the Polestar 1. The infotainment system is outdated. It's an old Volvo system.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
was the
good.
basically the S90 interior.
Yeah, exactly. They should have updated that, being it their first car. But then again, it is what it is, and they did it well with the second one. The interior looks really good. It's nice materials for a car that's not that expensive and competing with the Tesla Model 3. So just talking about the interior, the infotainment system, like I said, Android. So I always feel like getting someone like Android or Apple, I guess Apple won't really do it, but Android, like they know what they're doing. You know you're going to get an infotainment system that works, and it's like running Google, and everyone has Google, sign in with your own stuff, which I know it does as well. So it remembers your settings, remembers your playlist, everything, which is nice. And I think for someone buying that car, they're not buying it for track use, they're buying it for drivability and comfortability and usability.
No, you're definitely not taking it to the track.
Exactly. I mean, if you're Misha, maybe, but
Maybe.
in any case, the looks, I think it looks really well, and the range is not exceptional. It's not like best in the world or something crazy, but it's still right on par with the rest. I think it's almost 400 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken, just under 400. Depends on your driving, but around there. And you can get a bit of an upgrade, I saw, with the suspension if you want to, which is actually adjustable, which is pretty interesting.
Yes.
Which is not like
manual adjustable, but then it's like
it's
not a track car.
Exactly, which was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And upgraded brakes, I think, as well. It's not ceramics, but it's larger brakes, and it's Brembos, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's like a practical, nice electric, and it's, to be honest, I think I would actually buy that rather than the Tesla Model 3, just based on looks. Just based on looks.
Like plainly based on looks.
Like a lot of people say, like a Tesla, it looks like an egg that's like running down a table or something. Like, I don't know, it just looks funny.
It looks like sort of cartoon, not cartoons, but like anime sort of looking. Yeah,
it's not good. It's like Tesla makes other cars that's nice, but the Model 3 didn't.
No, it's a quiet taste.
Yeah, but in any case, I think they might actually hit the market quite well with the Polestar 2. I don't know. Like, I guess you'll see it is a smaller brand, but then people know, like, okay, it's, kind of based on Volvo. You're not buying a random like Korean or Chinese brand that you're like, I don't really know where they're coming from. So I guess that is nice in that sense, and it is simplistic. It is simple, but with the interior, like I know with the Model 3, it's very. Like Matt said on the video last night, it's like it looks like a flat that's not furnished, and I guess that's pretty accurate. Where the Polestar 2, it's very basic, but it's like it looks good.
It looks proper.
They did small things that makes a difference.
Yeah, I think the Polestar 2 comes in at a third of the price of the Polestar 1. So the pricing is similar to the Model 3, depending the Model 3. So I think the Polestar 1 has 1 78 kilowatt hour battery like model, which has about 300 kilowatt, 400 horsepower. And then the Model 3 has a few choices. You have like the single motor, the dual motor, the long distance, and then you have the performance pack. Yeah. Now the performance pack, or the like Model 3 performance, there you have like the sport mode that can basically go fully real drive almost, where you saw the videos of the Model 3 drifting. Yes. Like super cool,
Yeah, for Model 3.
Will you be taking a Model 3 drifting? No. So, but it's still cool.
Yes, it is.
The Model 3 has definitely better handling, but I mean, you're talking like
we're thinking of GT3 like a brain here, and it's people buying it. They're not buying it for the track. They're not even buying it for a pass. They're buying it for
like you're basically asking like, how good does the apple fry in a pan? Like it's irrelevant, exactly, to be honest.
It is.
So in terms of what is relevant, meaning looks, meaning driving capability, which is good enough, comfortable, luxury, yes. Maybe the only thing, I think the range isn't super good. Yeah. I saw like 260 to 90 miles-ish, which is fine, but these days range anxiety has been a thing with electric cars. It is slowly subsiding as cars are getting better, charging quicker. Yes. We saw the EQS that also came out now.
I literally wanted to say, and they're claiming 770 kilometers.
They're claiming 770 kilometers, and they've also, what did they say? Was it 500 kilometers in 15 minutes of charge? Or
80%. I think it's usually like 70 or 80%.
But like 15 minutes. So it's definitely improving a lot.
No, it is.
The Tesla Model S Plaid or whatever they call it. They actually say there's like literally it's new kind of battery technology, like Plaid technology or whatever, which longer distance, more power. I mean, that's what's going to happen with electric vehicles. Yep. It's just continuous growth. It's a matter of time before, in 5 minutes, you'll be able to charge your car in 80%.
I mean, even 15 minutes, it's not a lot of time.
For electric cars, Of course, your petrol cars, it's something you literally pour in, but I mean...
Obviously, when you buy an electric car, this is
like
something.
That's the compromise you're making.
Exactly, it's part of the game. But 15 minutes is really not bad, and especially if you have a range of, let's say, 700 kilometers, and it could charge 80% full in 15 minutes. If the EQS is, if it gives what it's saying it's claiming, then it's going to be good. I mean, it's a big car, so I guess they could squeeze in a bit more batteries or a bit some extra. But I think everyone, like you say, range anxiety is a thing. And 400 kilometers or around there is not a lot.
It isn't.
But once it goes over 600, I must say, I would really consider
that's
it. That's
petrol car range.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not bad at all.
Yeah. So, but 260, 290, which is how many miles? Like 400 and something kilometers probably. it's not enough.
No, it's not.
If you're only city driving, fine. And you probably are only, but...
Then you might as well buy one of the small ones, like a Twizy or something like.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, wait,
literally, if you're doing city driving, that's a different type of car. But Honda E, like the E-Jazz, or like the Peugeot 208 electric, or there's a lot of electric cars, not a lot here, of course, but a lot of electric cars, small city cars coming out. That's good enough. Have you seen the interior of the Honda E?
No,
like it's literally the screens that like basically goes not necessarily wraps around, but goes the whole center console.
Okay.
So they have everything you need, really.
More than enough.
And I mean, if you're executive, then go for your Polestar 2 or your Model 3. It's fine.
Or
then
like
range,
or the Jags.
Or the Jags even.
Yeah.
Really. But let's put it in our context. You sometimes do want to go out of town.
Exactly.
So then, I spoke to
weekend or whatever. Yeah.
I spoke to a guy. Well, Marius Boonzaar, he was on the first, first guest episode. He drove the Golf E from here to, he wanted to drive it from Strand to Wellington, which is what? 60 to 80 kilometers.
Yeah, it's like under 100, I think.
Yeah, so it's not far.
No.
And I'm not sure how the charging situation is at his flats, but he just was like, no, rather take his own car. Yeah, he was just a bit too anxious about the range. So, and I mean, he says you can put it in Eco Pro, but then aircon off, windows closed, everything that might take power, like dimmed lights, everything. So
that's hectic. Yeah.
I mean, put it this way: even if you drive at night, your lights take energy. Yeah. You know, everything in the car takes power.
Yes.
So, I see the issues, but I mean, these are little niggles just going to be ironed out over the years. Yep. So as soon as range starts getting better, everything else is already there. Comfort is there. Drivability, handling ability is good enough. No, really, there's no distinguishing factor.
For what the Polestar is, I think it did quite well.
Yeah,
like for the first full-on hybrid, I think they
looks
did well.
Definitely
got it
out of the park. Yeah. Polestar 2 is the first fully electric, and I think they're doing well with it. Hopefully they continue to sell very well. They've been 2 years in the electric game. It's not a lot. No. They're not a giant at all. No. But people are getting comfortable.
Especially in the European market, where they are anyways, the mindset has changed a lot, I think, compared to the US. So I think they might do well in Europe, considering.
But thank you, Willis, for joining today. It was very good having you. Very good chatting so long about Porsches too. I mean,
always fun.
I do that every day.
Exactly.
But thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Yeah. We actually didn't come to our favorite segment, but that will just be extended to maybe next time. Let's keep it for next time. But thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, if you have any, I don't know, if you want to tell me about what I need to change, or maybe encouragement, maybe some constructive feedback, I'd appreciate that. Email is down below, comment section is there, so go wild. But as we always say, rather love cars because it's better than loving drugs. Willis, man. I'm joking. All right. Have a good one.
Cheers.